Now I'm going to talk about the Japan visa run. Basically, there are two kinds of people who should go to Japan for a visa run. The first type of person is someone who has had an E2 visa before, but who isn't located in their hometown now. The second type of person who should go to the Japan visa run is someone who hasn't had an E2 visa before, but has had an education background check through the Korean Council for University Education. So if you are one of these cases and you're now in Korea, normally you would go to Japan to get your visa. Basically, you have to have an education background check through the Korean Council for University Education if you have never had an E2 visa before. But if you have had an E2 visa before, then you don't need to get an education background check. Education background checks are only for someone who's new to Korea. But if you are new to Korea, you have to get a job first, because only your employer can apply for your education background check. You can't do it yourself. So this is what you have to do to go to Japan for your visa run. Basically, most people buy a ticket for Osaka or Fukuoka, because these are the easiest places to go to. You can choose other places around, but those two are probably the best choices. The cost will be around 700,000 Korean won for everything, including food and accommodation, and normally you will be there for around 2 days. So it's best to book your flight for 8 a.m. in the morning from any airport in Korea, and you will get to Japan before 10 a.m. that day. Once you get to Japan, you should apply for your visa immediately that morning before lunch at the Korean consulate in Japan, and you should be able to get your visa the next day before you leave. So the next day, you go to the Korean consulate in Japan, you pick up your passport before lunch, and you'll be able to fly out of Japan that night around 8 p.m. So really, it only takes 2 days total. And one thing you must remember is that before leaving for Japan, you should get your money changed into Japanese yen for the application, which is about 7,000 yen. So now I'm going to talk about the C4 visa. The C4 visa is a sort of temporary work visa for about 1 to 3 months. It's usually for university camps and not for private schools. It depends on your contract for your camp. You will have your visa for about 1 to 3 months. Normally, for C4 visa, schools won't pay for your flight, so you have to buy your ticket on your own. And also, there's no reimbursement for the ticket. After the interview, if both you and your employer are okay with the conditions, the school will send you the documents for the C4 visa. You have to apply for the visa in the Korean consulate in your hometown. And the documents that you need are a criminal background check, but no need to get it apostilled, your original university or college diploma, all of your documents from your school, and it will take about a week to get the visa or less, and then you're able to come to Korea. So now I'm going to talk about the education background check. If you've never had any legal teaching experience in Korea, which means you've never had an E2 visa before, you have to get your education background check. But the education background check is only for those of you who are not in your home country, and also if you don't plan to go back to your home country to get the visa, because you can only get your education background check in Korea, and it can only be done by a school that you work for. So make sure that you have a job first before you get the education background check, because the Korean Council for University Education is the only place to check your education background officially in Korea, and it doesn't give the result to anyone but the school you work for. If your employer's school checks your education background, you can go to Japan for a visa run, and the whole process normally takes around 2 weeks. So you make sure that you give some of your information to your school, including your student number, so that they can get your education background check. So now I'm going to talk about transferring from your current school to a different school. If you're working for a school, but you want to move to another school before completing your contract, and you've completed more than 9 months in your current school, then you can get a release letter from the current school, and then you can move to another school without going out of Korea. But if you haven't completed 9 months yet, then you have to get all of your documents for your E2 visa once again, except for the apostilled criminal background check. Now I'm going to talk about 3 different types of legal cases that some English teachers encounter. The first one I'm going to talk about is if your current school doesn't pay your salary. So what should you do? I'd like to suggest that you skip some of your classes. You don't skip too many, maybe just skip 1 or 2, because you don't want to give your employer any other good reason to not pay your salary. So don't give them any good reason. But if your boss still doesn't give you any salary, then you should report it to the labor office. and they will help you, but it usually takes some time, so don't expect your boss to pay you too soon, but they should pay you right away. The second case is, what if you don't like your school? So you quit your school without any notice and you don't complete your contract. Usually the owner of your school is going to report you to the immigration office, and it won't be easy for you to get another E2 visa. So don't run away from your school if you would like to work in another school in Korea again. And the third case I'm going to talk about is if you have a tourist visa in Korea, but you get caught for illegal work, such as teaching, by immigration officers. If you get caught, you won't be able to come to Korea for another 5 years, even for a tourist visa. So be very careful and try not to get caught, or don't do any illegal work if you want to come to Korea again. Thank you for watching my video, and if you have any questions, including legal problems, just leave your message on our consulting board on our website, and we will answer your questions as soon as possible. Thank you.